I am extremely motivated by two different things. One of these things is the capability of leaving the world a better place than how I found it.
Welcome everyone to this AMA session of Dusk Network on Monday, the 16th of May 2022. I think it's safe to say that we are currently in one of the most exciting times in the industry, and this will be of course a very big topic in this AMA session, with none other than Emanuele Francioni. In this session we will hear Emanuele's point of view of the current market sentiment, the parallels to his entrepreneurial career, and last but not least, he's answering all the questions from the community. As always, the information provided is no financial advice, and we always advise you to do your own research. Without further ado, let's get straight into it.
It is no mystery that in Dusk we privilege the security part. We are working very hard to make sure that the protocol that we are developing is as secure as possible, is as tested as possible, is something that can be relied upon. And because of that, obviously we had to take a trade-off, and the trade-off was mostly in terms of opportunity. Some other projects didn't have the same kind of mindset. Some other projects essentially have a different kind of mission, or live by different mottos. I mean, one of the most famous that comes to mind is the Ethereum's one, which is break things, move fast and break things. And despite the fact that the Ethereum community is actually very, very focused on security as well, and to create a protocol that is as safe as possible to use, then in their case, basically their trade-off versus opportunity was about scalability and putting up an architecture which is still largely under development. In the case of, in some cases, some of these financial products or this kind of financial experimentation led to the rise of very, very useful instruments, among which are the stablecoins. And so because stablecoins are perceived, actually it has it in their names, stable, they are perceived to be stable representation or stable dematerialization of something that exists in the current world, right? Like, for example, currency. In this case, the vast majority of all the different kind of stable coins, they try to mimic the movements of the US dollar. Because of that, then a lot of different, perceptions were created about the stability and the safety of stablecoins. But stablecoins, in fact, they are extremely complex financial construct, and they use different kind of technologies, many of which are still heavily under development. I would say that all of them are heavily under development, and all of them have their risks. And these risks are, because of our perception, because of how the industry tends to communicate, these risks have been largely underestimated. Because these risks have been largely underestimated, then we saw, a black swan event unfolding in front of our very eyes, which is the demise of the USD, the Terra stablecoin. Briefly recapping what happened last week. Stablecoin, which are algorithmic in nature, they do essentially stimulate a stability or try to achieve stability with some tricks, for lack of better wordings. The entirety of the market is about perception, and that is a truth that everybody needs to accept. When there is a perception of something that is threatening the stability of anything, any kind of product, then basically what we see is that product gets sold. When somebody, when a certain product is instead perceived as stable, as having potentially a lot of upside, then we see that that particular financial product is purchased. This balance that is always pursued in the market is something that provides a balance, or provides a price point. When the price point is dependent on some perception in a completely optimal situation and in a perfect market, then this perception is skewed only from two different by two different parameters. One is demand, and the other one is offer. So when there is a lot of demand for any kind of financial product, but any kind of good, really, any kind of asset, when there is a lot of demand, then the price of that asset essentially rises. When there is not so much demand and there is much more offer, then the price decreases until a certain balance is reached. Algorithmic stablecoin tries to achieve balance by essentially manipulating the supply of two different assets that are correlated with each other. In the case of Luna, for example, the assets that are in this game are the USD, so the stablecoin itself, and Luna. So whenever there is a lot of demand for USD, then essentially Luna can be burned, and an amount of USD equal to the price of Luna gets minted. So in that case, the supply of USD essentially inflates, so is created. Because of the bigger supply, then the demand naturally should be balanced because there is more offer. There is more of the supply. Whereas in contraction phases, basically, then the opposite should happen. So what we saw is that in a perfect market, this algorithm, if you will, this kind of stability mechanism would probably hold. But the markets are never ideal, do never move in an ideal situation. And in fact, they can be attacked. Markets can be attacked, assets can be attacked, certain algorithms can be attacked. They can be attacked technologically, but they can also be attacked financially. In the case of USD, it's not exactly known what happened. A lot had to do with the fact that an attacker of the network, a financial attacker, in fact, was capable of creating fear so that all the holders of USD began to lose faith in the currency and started to go for what is called a bank run. So everybody's selling their own asset. And at that particular point in time, the peg of USD was lost and the algorithm failed to restore it, to the point in which something which is called the death spiral was triggered and ignited. And we saw a supply of Luna that started to be printed, that was started to be inflated at a pace that was unsustainable, until essentially the overall thing collapsed. Because of this, the problem that is a problem that has got to do with crypto became more evident. A lot of different people.
Sorry to cut you off. Is it possible to close your video? Because if you keep the video on, then it's just 25 people. But if it's not with video, then it's infinite. Apologies for that.
Oh, no problem at all. So, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. So, where was I? Sort of lost my train of thoughts. Well, anyways, so yes. So one of the problems with this stability is that, and this perceived stability, was the fact that when you have something stable in any kind of market, this stability can be used in order to create derivatives, in order to leverage this stability, in order to borrow certain assets. So the problem with USD, with the problem with Luna, the problem with the market in general, was that a lot of people started to put their even their life savings into certain applications that were linked to the stability of USD, like Anchor, for example. And they started to borrow from their own assets, putting their own assets as collateral in order to lever this stability and in order to get some kind of ROIs from Anchor, for example, or from other kind of DeFi protocol. So this meant that all these people had the perception that they were using their collateral in order to borrow a stable asset, or to put a stable asset as collateral in order to borrow for any other, for any reason, like, for example, yield farming, or providing liquidity to an LP, or all these different other DeFi propositions. And then the thing that they deemed as stable, it wasn't stable at all. So we saw that a lot of, I would say almost $1 trillion worth of value has been burned. This wasn't only last week, but it was in the past months. And but it was this effect was amplified of several different orders of magnitude by the collapse of USD. And because of that, I think that a lot of people started to, especially those that came to crypto after 2017, after 2018, that didn't really experience the last bear market, they have been severely hit by these situations, and they lost a lot of the value that, and a lot of the investments that they've been putting inside of the space. And I have seen on Twitter, I have seen on Telegram, on many different groups that I am observing and I am part of, a general feeling of defeatism and a general feeling of sometimes even despair for everything that was lost. And it is something that personally I have been experiencing myself, not exactly with crypto, but as an entrepreneur. The nature of entrepreneurship is making investments, especially when you create startups, which was my case after 2012, well, after 2011, in fact. I was the director of research and development at TomTom, which at that time was quite an important global company. And I decided to, I had some ideas for some novelties in the field of sensor networking. And therefore, I started my career as an entrepreneur. And the very first thing that I did was to sell my own apartment. Back then, the one that I had in Rome, the one where I used to live before moving to all of it, all the money that I made from selling my apartment, I've been putting in my first startup, because I had the idea that that this novelty was going to change for the better a lot of different industries, from automotive industry to sport industry and so on and so forth. I had absolutely very little preparation as an entrepreneur, and I ended up essentially just completely burning through my entire stack. And I remember the feeling of despair when I had only 2-3 months of runway, and nothing was going my way. And then I tried again and again and again, and some of the startups that I created barely made it, broke even at some point. Some others were started to be a little successful, and then I lost everything again. That is the nature of things. That is the nature of entrepreneurship. And at that particular point in time, what I learned was that were different things, small things, but that made me better as an entrepreneur, or as somebody capable of managing his own budget, which is one of the reasons why Dusk is extremely focused on running a viable business. Because one thing that I have seen is that when you overspend in marketing, in any kind of activities, for example, then the runway that you have gets, shorter and shorter, and you're not really left with enough time to, get to get where you want to be, to focus on the end game that you have in mind. So I recognized many different outlets from people that lost a lot of money in the latest crash, and I wanted to offer a little bit of a different perspective about the fact that everybody is going to make their investment back. I'm pretty sure that some of you probably lost your money in the latest crash as well. We were lucky enough, Dusk was lucky enough to be completely unfazed about the recent events. We are fully capitalized, and we can execute on our vision for many years to come. And we are fully confident that we will be able to execute on our plans and on our program. We have more resources that we are planning to be needed in order to do so. But regardless, I think that what happened kind of just hit me personally, because I recognized the same sense of defeat to a lot of people around me, and I wanted to offer a different kind of perspective. Anything that we do, essentially, just the most valuable thing is not money. The most valuable thing is experience, is learning things, is the capability of creating something, of morphing reality around a certain goal that must leave the world a better place. Because otherwise, if it is just about money, then when you lose it, because it will happen that people lose their money. And if it is just about the money that somebody made, or the ROI that somebody is trying to extract from certain things, if there is nothing else but that, if it is just moving value left and right and tries to capture and to extract value that way, essentially money is all that matters. There isn't really anything there, but money comes and goes. And the most important thing is about what we are learning, how we are making the world a better place, and most importantly, how we are going to learn from the mistakes that we make in order to be better and to have probably a better shot next time in creating what is inside of us, what is inside of our mind, what is our goal, what is our vision, how we are going to create that, how we are going to work on that, and we will get better. At that point in time, money, it's just a measure of some of the success of your vision. And if your vision is not successful, or you run out of money, then it doesn't really matter if you can extract value in a different way, like learning. And then at some point you find a different way to put yourself back on track. And then at some point, things that were unthinkable some time ago, then they happen. If somebody would have told me that I would have had the idea for a decentralized network, a protocol with the capability of providing privacy-oriented, decentralized computation in order to disintermediate one of the most difficult market there is, which is the regulated financial market, in 2011, I would have laughed. And yet, here I am. I am here together with the amazing team and this amazing community because essentially of all the different kind of lessons that I have been learning throughout the time. Because of the many failures that I went through and because things weren't really working. And it is one of the most important things that I learned is you are always wrong. You are always wrong until essentially you cannot verify your assumptions. No product survives the first meeting with a customer or the first meeting with a user. And if you adopt that mindset and if you verify that there is a need for what you are doing, and you verify it with hard, cold cash. So if there is somebody that is capable of paying or that is willing to pay in order to solve a certain problem, then at that point in time you can deem your assumption validated and verified. Till that happens, it's just wishful thinking. And that is what brought Dusk where it is right now. So if you have been affected by these events, just try to learn from it. Just try to learn what went wrong and probably have better risk management. Try to learn, in fact, what it actually means to take risk in the financial market, what it means to have to borrow capital, what it means, capital velocity. These are all things that can be learned very, very easily. And this will make anybody probably a better investor and somebody that will probably at some point be able to execute on his own vision, whatever it is. It can be very complicated or can be something very simple, but managing budget through risk assessment is absolutely very, very important. So we are on the verge probably of a bear market. I am not much of a trader myself. I've been always wrong in these things, but I have been told that we are on the verge of a bear market. It doesn't really matter. A bear market is an awesome time for building, which is what the Dusk team is doing, what we are good at. And we will certainly learn from others' mistake. We will need at some point to take a decision about a stable coin, because that is a fundamental piece of the puzzle for off-ramping or on-ramping to traditional finance. I have quite some good ideas on what kind of direction I would like to take, but they are too early stage right now to really share. And sorry for the very, very long introduction, but I wanted to open up this Q&A, which so far has been just me speaking freely about my experience. with these thoughts. Yeah, so I'm ready to take some of your questions. I will start with some of the questions that have been posted in the Q&A channel or in the Q&A thread. So it would be nice to get an update on the state of the testnet. How are the upcoming weeks gonna look like? We are seeing a lot of activity on VM2 GitHub page. Is this the current focus? So essentially, right now there are testnet is going quite well, I would say. The next topics or what the team is currently very busy with is indeed VM2, and which has seen quite many different resolution of many different tasks and issues. The team is also working on the staking, which is necessary for the community, for opening up testnet to the community, and I would say that it is going quite well. There is a lot of activity on GitHub, so you guys can go there and ask me questions in text on the discussion, and I will reply as soon as possible if there are things that you want to clarify a little more. It's more of a marketing question, but I would like to hear a few words about the education of Dusk to the general public. Trading platform like eToro or Trade Republic are educating on social media platform about how important investing in ETFs, etc. is. Well, there is obviously a lot of there are a lot of efforts that are in the making for what concerns the education. So there are two different sides to the market that we are going for. One is basically the institution, and the other are the users. What we have been seeing is that there is a lot of appetite from both these different sides, not only to for a certain specific application, but to try and understand exactly what the other sector or the other side of the market is interested into. So we are definitely very focused on education. In particular, what we have seen, especially after last week, is quite a keen focus and a keen interest in the capability of investing or the capability of extending decentralized finance to assets that are not correlated with crypto. And this because the more different assets are uncorrelated, and the more secure a certain portfolio is. On the other hand, institutions are interested in the efficiency and in and also in the communities, if you will, that are crypto native. So there is a lot of education that we need to do on, or that we are planning to do on both these categories. So stay tuned, because we will, you will definitely hear a lot more about that. Another question. Over the past week, several topics have been brought to Dusk attention. Perhaps you can share a moment on those topics, for instance, scheduling marketing to the broader public, use cases, perhaps a confirmation of partners without mentioning names, short and medium term focus. Okay, so basically it is what I just described. I would say that the capability, our mission is something that we are now capable of spelling quite in very clear terms. The mission of Dusk is basically to let the users exert absolute control over the assets that they do own. This is our mission, and in order to achieve this mission, then we definitely need to be able to bridge these two different kind of sectors, one being the regulated finance and the other one being the self-custodian way and the disintermediated way to compose different kind of application that target different kind of assets. And this is the first, I would say, among our first priority, and this is among the first applications that we are developing with different kind of parties. Especially the capability of offering through a crypto native wallet assets that are not correlated with crypto, so that are different in nature, like securities, for example. This is very high in our priorities, and and when we will be able to roll it out, it's going to be a defining moment in both this kind of market. So this is what we are focusing in terms of use cases. Think a DeFi application, but that allow you to invest or to provide liquidity to an asset which is not a utility token, which is not backed solely by future promise of selling it for a bigger price, but to basically be able to have a productive asset on the other hand, and to manage that and to see that popping up on your wallet. We are seeing a lot happening around the VM repository on GitHub. When do you expect VM2 to be merged? VM2 needs to forward port some of the fixes that we did on VM1, and there are the issues right now that are on GitHub. I believe that they are quite complete in terms of what needs to be done in order to have VM2. Testnet is live since 22.3, and we are still not able to run a node. How is this possible? Nodes are running. What the problem with running your own node is because of the decentralized nature of Dusk. What does it mean? It means essentially that if right now we would open the capability to host community nodes. This, by the way, this is already possible. But the thing that we need to that you do need to understand is that given the fact that we have in our immediate roadmap many different improvements that we need to push out. I'm talking about the staking, the new staking contract. I'm talking about VM2. I'm talking about, for example, the third-party smart contract support. These kind of things. These are a lot of different kind of packages that need to be upgraded. The more nodes that are out there, the more it's going to be difficult for us to coordinate all the rollout of all the software. In order for that to happen, we need to streamline, to have a way, for example, to tell all the community members that are running a node that they need to upgrade. This might actually be very trivial. And on mainnet, this is not a problem, but on testnet, it is. Why it is a problem on testnet and not on mainnet? Well, it is a problem on testnet because right now there are no real incentive to run a node other than curiosity and other than, just trying to be ready for the incentivized part of the testnet, which at the moment we are not yet capable of rolling out. So this means that if we see all these different nodes out there, people don't upgrade them, then it is going to be extra hard for us, for the team, to be able to go through the 3 weeks release cycle and have meaningful progress. So before doing that, then we want to be completely sure that we have a way for everybody that is downloading our software, that is running a node, to be able to upgrade it seamlessly and fast, because otherwise they are going to hamper our capability of developing and rolling out features faster. So have a little bit of patience about that. it is not that we don't want the community to participate. Actually, we do, but it is much better to do that when these upgrades are going to be streamlined in a way that is not going to hamper our development capabilities. Question about incentivized testnet. Can you share anything about it? For example, what type of engagement are you going to seek from the community? What the incentives are going to be? For how long do you plan on running it? Is there going to be a points-based system like other projects? Essentially, the incentivized testnet is the model that we have got in mind are borrowed from two different projects. One is Elrond, the other one is Solana. So Solana had the Tour de Sol, for example. So during incentivized testnet, what we are going to do is we are going to set up some task for the community, for those of you that will run nodes or wallet or any kind of application, and we will publish most likely some tasks that will be engineered to test the network. So the more the network is tested, the more bugs we can discover and fix. The more we can accelerate the path toward mainnet. So these are going to be the activities that we will certainly ask the community to take over, and these activities are going to be incentivized. At the very end of the incentivized testnet program, most likely, then the incentivization is going to be just about running, running the network or be part of the network. Is the web wallet close to release? Okay, so the web wallet is definitely among our highest priority, and I have been told many times that I might have a different different way of thinking in terms of something being closed or something being near or something being far away or these kind of things. I will say that I don't see any particular problem hampering the web wallet, and it is very, very high in our priority, if not among the highest priority items right now. This is all I'm going to say about it. Does this mean we could hold stocks on our Dusk wallet? Well, that's the idea. Not exactly stocks, I would say. I would call them securities, because stocks are just a part of the broader securities asset class. But that's exactly the idea. That is what I really would like to see. That is what we have been working on. The capability of offering holding, but also to compose different kind of asset class together on a general vision. And this is not something that is going to be done tomorrow or the day after. But on a general vision, on a general level perspective, all the different asset class, they all capture value. And we have seen in DeFi that whenever you're composing things together, like, for example, just liquidity provisioning or staking or borrowing, this kind of actions, you can migrate from one application to another through your wallet or through your extension, depending on what kind of platform we are talking about. You can migrate from one application to another very, very quickly. You can compose these different things to have your own chain of value. Of course, when we are talking about traditional finance, this is a little more difficult because is a regulated market. So it's not that you can compose things as you want, but that is the idea. If anything, I would like to give the same to all those that will be, accredited investors or people that will be able to invest in certain particular asset class. I want to offer them the same kind of composability, the same kind of capability, basically, of composing different kind of value or the abstract value that is coming from different asset classes all together. And I think that is what makes me very, very excited, and that is also the basis of what I call Reg DeFi, regulated decentralized finance. So even real estate, for example, real estate is a security. So I don't see why not. If you implement stablecoins on Dusk, how do you prevent a UST event, and would that have impact on the Dusk token as well? Well, we would. The design of a stablecoin on Dusk is ongoing. The research is ongoing. One thing I can already share, which is we are most likely almost 99.999% sure that we are not going to go with an algorithmic stablecoin. I have been quite impressed with Maker, with over-collateralized stablecoins, even centralized stablecoins, but we will go with the current regulation. There has been a lot of talk and a lot of discussion, a lot of conversation with the regulators on that particular topic, and we have quite a good idea on what the regulators are looking for or what they are likely to allow. Initially, it's not going to be a huge market cap as a stable coin, but certainly it is going to be significant, and we will definitely experiment on the regulator sandbox with it. So we don't really need to prevent a UST event because there is not going to be a UST event. Of course, if there is a bank run, then the best that we can do is to make sure that the entirety of the collateral for a certain stablecoin is available, is in our treasury, and it is redeemable, because that is the most important thing. So in that particular case, we are not going to run systemic risks of that spiral or anything like that. Most certainly, the Dusk token will not play a role as hard collateral, or rather, it's not going to play a primary role as a hard collateral because it is going to be too volatile. For sure, it's going to play a role from a protocol perspective and a network perspective, which is what is going to make sure that the stablecoin can be used in order to ramp up and ramp down from crypto to different kind of asset classes. What is your motivation in life? Interestingly, I was speaking about that with Fad and Marcel. My motivation in life is the following. I matured the conviction that we are all on borrowed time here. We don't really, own things forever, not even our own body, and we need to. I am extremely motivated by two different things. One of these things is the capability of leaving the world a better place than how I found it. This might sound cliche, but for me, it has got a very concrete meaning. I think that by providing by providing a way for people to be creative in their own way and to regain the control of what they own and their own value is going to free them from from the need to spend a hell of a lot of time on their daily job. I mean, I love Dusk. I love what I am doing. I would do it. I would do it for free. I would do it in my spare time. I am doing it on my spare time a lot of times, and that makes me happy. And it makes me even happier to know that if we are successful, then we are going to unlock a hell of a lot of capital, and we are going to unlock probably the possibility for some people, probably not many, I don't know, probably many, to realize their vision in life, because capital is essential to entrepreneurs, for example, or all these different people that have got an idea and that want to go for it. So that is what motivates me, the thought that through Dusk or through the research that Dusk is doing, I am in fact fixing or contributing to fix problems in capital efficiency that are going to give people the capability to do more with what they have in mind and to be more creative with their own career. I mean, a lot of people think about work, and work is something that is great, and it definitely is something that everybody should pursue. But in the end, it's much better when you work on something that is in fact fulfilling you. It's not that you are renting your time to somebody else. It's not about that, but that you are essentially working. You are spending your time on something that has got meaning for you. And I think that entrepreneurs have got these more often than not, and the capability of helping entrepreneurs unlocking capital or reaching or accessing capital more efficiently is going to help them out. And that is what makes me, want to move faster. And this is the value that I hope to be providing to the world. That's what I have in what motivates me.
What better way to end this session with some inspirational words from our co-founder Emanuele. Thank you to each and everyone joining live on Discord, and of course to those who listen to the recording right now. If you'd like to give us some feedback on the AMA session, you can find us on our Dusk Network Discord channel. We are back shortly with more news and our latest developments.